Good afternoon, everyone. I am now calling the joint special call Budget and Finance and special call Committee of the Whole meeting to order. It is Monday, August 28th. It is 3:47 p.m. Councilors, have you had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? Is there a motion for approval?
She has to tell them.
What? The minutes.
Oh, the minutes.
Oh.
Yes, me too.
All in favor say aye. Aye. The minutes from last meeting have passed. Next is item number 3, consideration of the consent agenda. Councilors, do you have any items you'd like to place on consent?
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to ask that we consider items number 4 on page 1, item number 6 and 7 on page 2, items 8, 9, and 10 on page 3,
Okay. Council Abbott, do you have any items you'd like to place on consent?
No, because we want to hear the same ones.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Good.
Okay.
Madam
Well,
Chair, before you consider the consent agenda, I think
Yes,
it's
sir.
item 8. There's
Okay.
an amendment. District 8 wants to add $10,000 to the item with Councilor Quinn, bringing the total to $17,000. And you have the request from the District 8 office along with the GL code.
okay.
That's it.
Councilors, are you okay with that? Amended
Yes.
item? First item is item number 5, and that is the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhood Program Grant from the Department of Transportation.
Madam Chair, we'll bring up Mr. Colin Alexander from VDOT that'll discuss this item.
Yes, and it's for up to $15 million to convert 4th Avenue North from a one-way to a two-way from 24th Street to 9th Street. Thank you.
One-page abstracts as well.
Gotcha, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Colin Alexander. I serve as senior planner with the Birmingham Department of Transportation. Before you is a typical grant resolution for us to apply for grant funding. We are applying for a Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods grant, which is a competitive grant program that came out of the bipartisan infrastructure bill. The project that we are looking at is the conversion of 4th Avenue North from one-way to two-way traffic from 9th Street to 24th Street North. We wanted to look at a conversion that converting our one-ways to two-ways has been a long-term goal of a number of plans that are put together. The City Center Master Plan, the Comp Plan, the Southside Framework Plan all point to this. And in looking at what is our first opportunity for a conversion, 4th Avenue North really popped up. There's a couple of reasons for that. First off is most of our one-way streets were designed in pairs connecting to on-ramps and off-ramps onto the interstates. So you think about 5th and 6th Avenue North going in opposite directions connecting to Red Mountain Expressway and I-65. 3rd and 2nd do the same thing. 4th Avenue North is unique. It does not do that. It dead ends at 24th Street North, and at 9th Street it continues on as a two-way street already, so it has no intersecting on-ramps onto our interstate system. There's another geographic reason that it pops out. 4th Avenue North is really geographically the east-west main street of Birmingham. There are 4 blocks to the north between 4th Street and Reverend Abraham Lincoln Boulevard, 4 blocks to the north between 4th Avenue and 1/2. So it's almost the exact center of our downtown grid. There, of course, is the cultural significance of 4th Avenue North as well. 4th Avenue being the home of the 4th Avenue Business District, our thriving black business community that we want to support through this endeavor. The conversion of one-way to two-ways nationally has shown in business districts to help revitalize business districts. Part of this is not one-way streets are designed to have cars fly through in order to move them to another destination. It does not invite them to stop and stay and participate in the local economy. A two-way street is more inviting to people to actually come to a place, stop, and patronize the businesses. This investment also supports our RAISE grant, which we were just awarded. The RAISE grant trail, of course, would come down 16th Street. There'd be a western portion going up to Graymont, but there's also a portion going down 4th Avenue that would go between 16th Street and 20th Street.
Yeah.
So this is helping to build on that investment. The western portion of this investment also touches our Choice Neighborhood Initiative. So again, building on federal investment on top of federal investment. That's what this administration really wants to see at the federal level. There's also a safety component that we're looking at. A great example is the intersection of 17th Street and 4th Avenue, right? So one-way streets are inherently faster, so they are inherently more dangerous to vehicular drivers as well as pedestrians. At 4th and 17th, you have two one-way streets where you have a number of crashes that end up in the Alabama Jazz Hall. We've had a lot of damage to that building. This will help not completely eliminate that, but it will reduce the number of crashes by, one, reducing speed, and also providing multi-directional traffic that drivers coming down 17th will need to pay attention to. There's also a growing trend of studies showing that two-way streets in general are safer, that there's a higher crime rate on one-way streets, partially because you have a blocked field of vision on a one-way street. You're looking here, you have a blind spot behind you. In two-way traffic, there's more eyes on the street, leads to a safer street, and that's shown in a number of national studies. So this project, we estimate this to be a $15 million project. Conversions are expensive, signals are expensive. That's our biggest part. We're talking about 15 blocks here. So we are looking to apply for $15 million. Typically, this is one of those federal grants with an 80-20 match that the feds want to see. However, this project is located entirely in an area of persistent poverty. Therefore, we are exempt from having a 20% match. That being said, in order to make ourselves more competitive at the national level, the mayor and his administration has committed the city, if the council approves it, to a $2 million contribution to that project. It's not the full 20%, but it shows the feds that we have skin in the game and we are committed to this project. It makes us more competitive.
Okay. I hear some Chief Mitchell lingo, skin in the game in there. Okay. Thank you, Chief. Councilors, do you have any questions? Council Abbott? Council Abbott, yeah.
Well, we were curious about the $15 million price tag, since all of the downtown streets were recently repaved.
Yeah.
Using the tip, do we have to dig up all the pavement? Why is it $15 million?
So, in terms of replacing a signalized intersection, those are about $500,000 to $750,000 per intersection.
So we have to replace all our signals?
That
Can
is.
we reuse them somewhere else?
So that is, we are being incredibly conservative with that ask. We are going to look at how we can reduce our overall costs as much as possible. But our consultant, we walked the corridor and began to look at it, and the fact is that signal hardware is very old. It was installed when the street was converted in the 1970s. And so installing new signals to that wiring may not be possible. And on top of that, starting in September, early September, PROAG is going to come, which is the ADA component for signals that has been tied up for a quarter of a couple of decades, is now going to go on, which means that if we touch the signals, we have to, and that's going to add significant cost.
Now, does that allow for longer periods of time for people to cross the street so
Yes.
that they don't get?
And it would require push buttons. It requires things like braille. It requires it's a truly complete ADA intersection that is going to be required anytime that you touch a signal starting next month. So that's going to add some significant cost to this project. Again, we're trying to make sure what we don't want to do is apply for a grant and have a problem where like we need more money, we're asking for more money. We want to try to get what we think is the true cost and a little bit more at the front end, so that way we can make sure that we're delivering the project appropriately.
Council Abbott, we know 4th Avenue goes west, so think about if we're going east now, we have to add 15 more traffic lights on each intersection. And then those ones that are north and south, where we have, I don't want to say the flashing lights, but we potentially have to add those on those intersections on north and south. So it's just, I think, like Colin said, it's close to $1 million per intersection.
Well, so are we going to have speed controls and crazy driver controls on those new streets so that people cannot go hauling through our downtown as they do now, roaring as they go? I realize the roaring part is probably not included in here, but
if I can
The
speak.
speed is of interest to me, because I think every single street, of course, I know VDOT will hate to hear this, I think every street we've got in Birmingham should have speed controls on it.
So in terms of, we're still gonna look at designs, the reality is that one-way streets are faster. Plain and simple, a two-way street is gonna be slower. Just by the nature of it being a two-way street, that has been shown in a number of studies nationally. When you look at our street racing problem, a lot of them are one-way streets. 3rd Avenue North, 3rd Avenue South, 2nd Avenue. They're not always, or at least they're less frequent on things like 1st Avenue. You know, it's this clear line of traffic going in one direction without conflict in the other direction that leads to higher speeds.
And will it be a 4-lane?
That's also part of the design process that we're gonna have to do once we're awarded. We are gonna do a little bit of design work, only because there's a lot of really dense urban fabric and we need to kind of know what we're getting into. But the real design of the project is gonna happen if we're awarded, and that's what part of the funding is gonna go towards.
Okay. Will there still be on-street parking?
That's the plan, when we want to have as much on-street
And a
parking.
bicycle lane?
And a bicycle lane, yes ma'am.
And sidewalks?
Yes ma'am. That's the plan.
You're gonna
A
fit all
true,
that in
a true
there?
complete street, that's the goal.
You're gonna fit all that in there. So what about people that drive those big trucks that can't stay in their same lane now? Like, are we gonna shrink the lanes so that they hang over the edges?
Again, we're gonna be doing a lot of thorough design work.
That's why we're in the planning stage before we submit.
Well, I mean, several of us in the room remember when they were two-way streets. Now, there's some that were children and you know, hadn't even been born yet, but I remember Dick Arrington was the one who was the mayor when all that happened. And they put those planters out in the street so that people could crash into them instead of the cars. That worked pretty well though.
So let me ask, why did they convert it to a one-way?
So people could get out of town faster, get back to the suburbs.
That was actually part of a national trend. You saw a lot of downtown cores.
Oh.
Getting to the interstate.
And South Bend,
Well, slow 'em
Indiana
down then.
converted all
You
of
could
those.
go fast.
And I will say to that point, Counselor, one of the things I've been harping on with this too is that by converting 4th Avenue north to two-way, it's an active historic preservation. And it's really important because it will help to contribute to the strength of our World Heritage application for 16th Street Baptist by making sure that we have a landscape, an urban landscape, that is as true to the time as possible.
Okay, gotcha.
Now I know why it's gonna cost so much. How about
I was
you?
gonna say, thank you.
Madam President,
One of
yeah.
my biggest concerns, thank you, Counselor, is, what the cost was associated with this, because in my mind, it was just painting some strips, you know, traffic around the world. I see the cost with the redesign of the, traffic signal. I guess I was just hoping that the technology we had already, it could be simple to change, but you're saying we already have the old, right?
We have older technology and we are just worried about asking for not
You
enough
don't wanna
money.
have to.
And there may be some opportunity on, also in studies for, you know, maybe some of them could be always stops on some of our less traveled streets towards the fringe, but that's all part of the design process. But we want to be prepared for the fact that this could cost significant amounts of money at each intersection in order to make this work.
And I do have, I know you're in the planning stage, but I would just like to add, you know, if you're gonna try to do 4 lanes, then a bike lane, then parking. I know when you turn off of, 4th and you go to 3rd, I don't know what the street is, then that's you go to 3rd.
On 24th, right there.
That's very confusing, and you still have people in cars that, you have a parking space there that we're trying to turn into the right lane to get onto 3rd, so.
Yeah, and a lot of that, again, the reason I'm not committing to a lane designation is because we're still gonna be in the design phase. We have to look at what the width of the roadway is, we have to determine and make those choices and, you know, where we can get as much parking. We wanna make sure that there's enough on-street parking to support the local businesses, for instance. There's a context as you get closer to the Jim Burke Auto Mall, maybe you don't need on-street parking as much in that area. So there's flexibility in that design, but the goal is to make it as true a complete street as possible.
All right, thank you. It's just still asking about the cost, but thanks for explaining that.
Sure, no problem.
It might only have 3 lanes instead of 4.
Do you have any more questions?
No, I'm good.
When is the, grant due?
Grant due is due September 28th.
Okay, and then when will we know, that we will be awarded,
So
or whether we get it or not?
That's a good question. A lot of those are still very fluid.
Okay.
You know, I think the DOT in particular is still navigating some of the processes. I will say, for a point of reference, we applied for and won a Reconnecting Communities grant last year, a
Yeah.
planning grant. That application was due in the middle of October, and we were notified in April. So I
Okay,
think
yeah.
that's a pretty reasonable timeframe. I would say sometime mid-spring, but it could be longer. Just this is combining two pots of money together that were separate last year, so it could be more complicated in that regard too.
And then once I'm gonna say we're gonna get it, we're gonna
Mhm.
say once we get it, when do we start implementing it? How long will it take?
So that's another part that is complicated with these federal grants. So for
Okay.
instance, again, as another parallel, the RAISE grant that we just won,
Yeah.
we found out that we won in July, and we're
Mhm.
gonna spend the next several months getting a contract with DOT done in terms of what the grant
Yeah.
language looks like.
Mhm.
And so it could take, anywhere from, I'd say 8 to 9 months, usually in that kind of a process, and then you go from there in terms of how long design and construction could take.
Okay, it's like 2025. Okay. Is this a part of like a bigger trend of trying to convert a lot of the one-ways into two-ways downtown?
Yes, so as I mentioned, this converting our one-ways to two-ways was called out as an action item in our comp plan, our city center master plan, in our north side, south side framework plan, and our northwest quadrant plan,
Okay,
all
gotcha.
call for these.
Mhm.
So as you can tell with the costs and how complicated these are difficult projects to pull
Yeah.
off.
Mhm.
So this is really a pilot for
Mhm.
us in many ways for that. It's our
Mhm.
first attempt at doing this, and we're gonna learn some from that. Maybe we'll learn, how to make them, more efficient cost-wise, but right now, this is where we have to start,
Yeah.
and Fourth Avenue is a wonderful target for us to do that.
Okay. Because I remember reading something about that. Rev Birmingham mentioning that in the article, but I think this would be good because our business is off of 2nd Avenue North. I see people all the time going the wrong way, and we're like honking at them, and then you see a lot of accidents happen too. So I'm excited to see what comes from this. So anybody else have any questions?
Well,
Yes, Council Abbott.
The crosswalks,
Oh yeah.
in some cities, they're raised a
Mhm.
little bit so that
Yeah,
the people who wanna run over you think about it a little bit before they.
yeah.
So will we be installing new crosswalks and
And-
making everything more modern?
That is actually something that, again, we will talk about in the design phase. I think that's a very reasonable thought process to think about. And you talk about traffic calming devices in downtown streets. I think raised crosswalks are just as effective and safer in those contexts. So I think that's something we will explore. It's really going to depend on cost. The first big cost is going to be the signal conversions, and then it's going to be building out from there in terms of streetscape elements to make sure that we have true place-based economic development, and then also any additional things like that that can help make it safer for our pedestrians. We would like to do, but it's just going to be based on cost.
That's all for me.
Okay. Okay. All right. Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The aye passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Also, I don't know, maybe this is a Jeff thing to tell, but on the council agenda, it didn't say anything about budget and finance. So can we put that as recommended by budget and finance?
Yeah, we don't know because we went before transportation today. also.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
We didn't want to be presumptuous.
It's a good one to be presumptuous for. Thank you. The next item is item number 11. This is a resolution finding the city has established 99 neighborhood advisory committees for the city, and they are asking, and this will authorize the mayor to expend $2,500 per neighborhood association for office supplies.
So I don't see Ms. Alice Williams, but I can give it a stab. So this is a yearly resolution that we require from the council every year just for our purchasing department for the neighborhoods to purchase office equipment and supplies for their neighborhood meetings. It's still in that same vein of what we do for the Get to Know Your Neighbor days and all that we do yearly. So it's just a yearly renewal.
My question is, how many neighborhoods actually use this for neighborhood meetings and?
Good afternoon,
Hey.
Council,
Hey.
Mayor's Office. Thomas Stone, Principal Attorney, Community Development, Community Resources. All 99 neighborhoods, for just neighborhood office supplies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know how often they used it, because sometimes they'll ask us to send out things about the neighborhood meetings, and so I just.
Oh, yeah, you should push it back to them.
Okay.
That's the reason for the resolution, so the council wouldn't be inundated with so many different resolutions of small
Okay.
amounts of
Yeah.
purchases.
I guess I just wonder, maybe this is something we can ask the CAB, like, how many, this isn't a stab at them, just how many of them are actually using it, because I don't know who's been using it for like flyers and stuff, because I know a lot of residents don't know about neighborhood meetings, honestly, so. But that may not be a question for y'all, so, do y'all have any questions?
Well, maybe our city website could have something about neighborhood association.
I think as we revamp the city's website and give the council an update, that'll be something we can integrate for sure.
Yeah, the city, since the flyers went away, really, it's pitiful. And it's no wonder we don't have as good participation as we could, because you meet people every day who don't even know that the city has a neighborhood association system. And some of them have lived here 40 years, that's scary, but our website could help.
Yeah,
But now,
sure.
in my district, everybody's bought computers, and they're using this stuff because they vote on supplies when they run out of ink and paper and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Well, yeah, I know a lot of neighborhood associations do, there are just some, especially the ones who are virtual, that if they are actually using this money for.
I want to say their virtual cost comes out of this fund, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's good,
Yeah.
okay,
Correct.
gotcha, alright. Madam
So I
President?
have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have information that would tell us if this is expended annually for the cost of like computer and paper and that type of thing? Where we could just get an idea of the utilization of this, because I agree with, Council Pro Tem, we do get a lot of requests for the council office to defray some of these costs, where the suggestion is that there would be better participation if we would be able to continue that type of communication. So it's important to me to know that if the neighborhood has these funds, it would be very great. So, and I think they're utilizing it, but I just wanted to know if there's any way, just back to piggyback on the question, is it utilized often?
Yes, ma'am, it is. This is an annual cost for each neighborhood.
Okay.
They have up to that amount to expend for each year. And most, if not all of it, for just general office supplies and equipment. Yes.
So service line, I would encourage. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm done.
Okay, Council,
One more question. So the upkeep of their neighborhood websites, if they have a website, does that come out of here too?
Well,
I would say no.
no, not the upkeep of their neighborhood websites, no.
Those websites are independent of the city funds.
Yes.
We don't have control over it.
Oh, okay.
We don't touch that.
okay, that's it.
That's interesting.
Is there a motion for approval?
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That item passes, thank you. Next item, item number 12. This is a funding agreement with Red Mountain Greenway and Recreational Area Commission, which the city will give $250,000 to support the operations of Red Mountain Park.
So,
I move approval.
Second.
I see my friends over there.
yeah, so we'll bring up, but for the council, this is our yearly operation allocation out of the general fund for one of our nonprofits that we support, Red Mountain Greenway, or Red Mountain Park. So we have Ms. Carly Stanford and her, what your name, and I just went.
Leah Davis.
Leah Davis, thank you, Jesus. That can help answer any questions about operations of the Red Mountain.
Okay, Madam President,
Uh-oh.
that's in your district, so.
It's very exciting to see you on here and know that Red Mountain Park is a very, very important greenway and green space that we have in District 7. So, I know that we have the walking trail, the shore, and helps to maintain that. So I just wanted to find out any new things that you're planning for Red Mountain Park and what can we do with that.
So we're in the middle of a big transition, and actually one of the, I think Alan can speak to it, edits for this resolution would be the name change that just happened. So the state agency is now the Jefferson County Greenways Commission. And this is a visual of where it's going.
Okay.
So we're working on some structural issues right now with how we fund the day-to-day operations and maintenance of large acreage. And the big thing that this creation of this does is we're bringing the county to the table. So this is last year's funding sources for large acreage green spaces. Really, there's three right now. So the county has committed 2.3 million over 3 years. So this is historic, first time. And part of how we got here is by showing them that Homewood, Birmingham, Myerdale, and Pinson are supporting these spaces. So we're in the middle of this transition, and I'll let Leah talk a little bit more about all the things going on at Red Mountain Park. But this is going to really open up to allow more of city funding or donor dollars to go to programming capital improvements, because we have the county now at the table to support the day-to-day. So,
Yes, I think the biggest change here is just the name change, is that, you know, like all the green spaces are in collaboration, working together. The foundation still exists, but our bifurcation is now expanded. So same physical space, same thing, still helping with maintenance, still helping with operations, but now it's just going into more utilized funds, more efficiently used funds. So we're not doubling costs across all the green spaces.
so we're talking about what hires need to happen next, and jointly. So instead of having a volunteer coordinator for every site, you have one who can help facilitate for school groups, for businesses, for community groups that want to get outside and volunteer. Are you closer to Ruffner and East Birmingham, or are you closer to Red Mountain?
Yeah.
So just the efficiency of the scale.
Yeah, the money's going further, much more further.
Another question, I knew the two, Ruffner and Red Mountain, what's the third? I forgot.
Turkey Creek.
And we've also, this is going to allow in the future, like, this is like Fort Johnston, if you're familiar with Fort Johnston, where there kind of sits in the middle of Irondale, Mountain Brook, Birmingham. There's no real owner. The parking lot is owned by an individual. People go, a place for these things that have fallen through the cracks can have someone to maintain and keep it up through a county-wide system. So there's not really a roadmap. We're kind of figuring it out each day. It's been fun.
Yeah, but I think, so the purpose of this group, the most important thing is like, this gives us more energy and more staff really to focus on what does the development of Red Mountain Park look like? How do we directly serve the Winona community in District 7s? Because now we have room to hire programming staff directly dedicated to those residents, and definitely that school district. So.
And the funding that is outlined in the resolution would be allocated to Red Mountain Park. It would not be dispersed. That's the third piece of this.
I have to be honest in saying that there have been some concern about the difference in Ruffner Mountain and how that green space, that area looks, and how the perimeter spaces around Red Mountain is. And so I'm hopeful that this will help to equalize that.
Yeah.
And to bring that up to date, bring that up to the same level.
Yeah.
You know, all of our spaces. are the
Yeah,
same.
and I think, we've been operating, just paper to posts, and so this really just gives us combined resources to bring that quality up, and then also engage more with you all on the community side and the neighborhood association. Because it really is a shared effort, like cleaning up our community is a shared effort. Yeah.
Because I know Tarpley City and East Brownsville, they're right there
Yeah.
next to you. So they're all just very eager to work with you and be great community partners. And because so much of that space is also a part of them.
Yeah.
So, and that brings people through those neighborhoods to get to them. I did just want to ask, and this is something I can come back and ask you all about later, but I know there was some capital improvements that was sort of being planned, and maybe at the entrance there.
Those are still, we're gonna pause those. I think we realize that infrastructure is the biggest portion, so making sure we have adequate bathrooms and parking lot and security, and the commission creation helps with that for us to be able to receive more funds for that. So definitely coming, but I think by next calendar year, there will be programming, one to make sure we engage the residents, show them how to use the green space, and then work on those infrastructure issues. Because the whole point of capital was for programming, and you can do that without a physical facility.
Okay, Council Abbott.
Yeah, just one, and that is the funding agreement now is going to be with whom? Is it
Madam,
this or is it the new name?
so
Chief.
we just got that today, so we need time to verify with OCA of the appropriate name. You already got it?
I've
Okay.
taken the time, yes,
Alright.
it was passed in this year's legislature.
We just didn't know what the effective date was.
Yeah, and we found out it has been signed by the governor, so it will be Jefferson County Greenway Commission.
Just one Greenway, not Greenways.
Just great.
Just
one,
one.
just
Well, Greenways.
Jefferson County, Jefferson
But it
County.
does have an
Because
S.
it's Jefferson County Greenway.
Ways, okay.
Greenways,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Greenways.
Greenways.
So I can just cross this one. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Is there a motion for approval? Did we say that?
I move approval.
All
I
in,
think we already did.
okay, well, sorry. All in favor say aye. Aye, the item passes. Good luck.
You can, absolutely. Thank you.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you all.
Okay, next is item 13. This is with the Birmingham Jefferson County Port Authority. And this is to give, pay them $125,000 for services. And this is for recreational, transportational, agricultural, industrial, and commercial purposes.
So we'll bring up Attorney David Russell Jr.
Attorney?
I think he is. Close to being one.
Yo, look, you're trying to manifest on him. He has 6 on him. Hey, I support it. All right, you let it rip. All right, well, tell us about that.
That's right.
Yeah, well, tell us about what's going on with
We
this.
appreciate y'all always investing in us. It's kind of like the second phase of that post-COVID supply chain that you all supported with us about 18 months ago. One of the things we identified on that project was nobody knows about the port. So a portion of these funds are going to go to a marketing plan once the warehouse is built, which we're almost on our home stretch now, to really finalize and kind of just update not even just like the public, but the business community as well. People just don't know how they can realign their supply chain internally, save more money, and support the greater Birmingham area and not have to go to Savannah or even all drive all down to Mobile, because the port offers a huge cost savings if we utilize it correctly. The second piece of it is that we're planning to acquire some property. So once this warehouse is once again finalized and complete, we're looking to take down some property, and that's going to be the funds going to be used to hire civil engineers so we can master plan a site and develop the property properly, and make sure that we're going to get maximum utilization out of it. And the property is in Jefferson County. And thirdly, we're planning to apply for a PIDP grant to the federal government, partnering with Rocco. That's going to be a huge investment. It's going to be upwards of $10 million. So once we are able to apply for that grant and we award it, we will be very competitive. There's not many urban cities this far away from the coast can consider themselves a port city, which we are. I think once we kind of tell that story and we show the investment from the city, the county, and the state in the past, the federal government will come on board, because at this point in time, we have a great track record. We'll have hopefully some property we can display on how this can play in our supply chain locally, impact our community in the census tract, and still make Birmingham more competitive.
Council Abbott.
So what was the name of that grant?
PIDP grant, it's an infrastructure grant for ports, inland ports. And we'll be applying on the small port, so it's anything under, I think, 20 million tons a year. So we do about roughly 2 million tons.
Now,
Yes, ma'am.
but you're heading for 20.
Oh, yeah, we're going for that. We're trying to get a big port. Yeah, we're trying to exceed that, so we want to be considered small or much longer.
So PIDP is port infrastructure
Port infrastructure development
program.
project or program thing it is.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, thank you.
It's under maritime funding.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Madam President.
Well, thank you for bringing this information. It's very timely because I was with a group of people that had interest in doing some business, and one of the drawbacks is there was some supply chain issues and how to move supplies, and they were very shocked when I said, we do have a port, And, it does provide us with some capabilities like that, but it's growing.
Right.
So I do think that, because that sometimes is what makes people want to come and do business with us, the ability to get their supplies in and utilize them effectively. So when you talk about making that more known, are you going to be going to like trade shows and different things like that, or how would you communicate that?
So yeah, so part of it is going to trade shows. Another portion of it is partnering with the Alabama State Docs. They have like some materials and literature that they send out across the country that highlights Alabama, and that's something historically we have not been in. The fee to get in there is not a whole lot, but our budget's not big, so it's a lot to us. So it's about $3,500 a fee just to have like a page, just talking about the abilities of our port. And the third part about it is identifying the marketing team to really help us tell their story. And hopefully we can leverage the city's marketing team to kind of tell the story as well, to kind of get it out in front of people. And quite being honest, like no one can tell our story better than we can. So the more people that we know, like, and trust, are educated about the port, is the more they can go out and sell it like you did yourself. It's like you just put them in the top 5% of the know of Alabama, so we appreciate that.
And we did, during the the annual meeting of the Alabama League of Municipalities, the Mobile Port actually had a great big presentation to us, and I don't know if any of y'all were present, but I think that's a great avenue too, if you could get the league to help with that, because they were really boosting that interest in the Mobile Port. And I know, of course, it's inland, has water and all that kind of thing, but we've got capabilities here that we could spring off.
Does Jefferson County have a portion of that way, of that?
And
possibly identify and leverage?
I believe there was an individual there, representation from the county, that
Okay.
were just there for the presentation to
Okay.
support.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to explore that. Any audience is a great audience for us just to educate about the port.
I don't have any questions. Council, do you have any more questions? I think there was a motion and a second.
I think, well,
Okay,
so
wait.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. The item passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney.
Next item is item number, yeah. Item number 14. This is to amend the capital fund budget, and that's by transferring $29,054.05 from the fire station roof repairs, from FIR 102 CP 002801, fire station roof repairs number 131924, $9,734.17 from fire station improvements, $3,687.60 from fire station number 26 driveway repairs, $4,692.28 from fire station number 2 driveway repairs, and appropriating $47,168.10 to fire station number 9 roof repairs.
Move the item.
Yep. So, before you, committee members, it's just, we have 3 projects that we're closing out, due to completion. So we want to take those funds and incorporate them to a project account where we're trying to repair the roof at Fire Station 9. We had a kind of shortfall on the funding. So we're using these funds and some deferred maintenance funds to make sure we make, complete repairs to this roof at Fire Station number 9.
Okay. Madam President, do you have anything?
It was one I wanted to be sent. I forgot to put it on.
Oh, it's okay. We get to hear that. It's a good.
Well, and my only question was, are these projects all?
Yes, our process is, we don't move any money unless a project is fully completed.
Okay. All right. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The item passes. Next item is item number 15. This is an agreement for services with Create Birmingham. They will provide professional services in attracting and developing film, television, commercial, music video, other media productions, and this is for an amount not to exceed $150,000.
I move approval.
Second.
Hey Megan, how you doing?
How are you?
Good.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Do you have anything you want to tell us about with this item, or
Sure.
before we ask questions? Yeah.
Yeah, excitingly, this, as you all know, I've been filling your inboxes, is our second community arts grant program, so I'm super excited. And I have a list of those that were funded last year. You guys are, I've been sharing them as events happen.
Okay.
There's 2 left, which is the Bare Hands, Dewana, and then Woodlawn Neighborhood Association. They're doing altar classes And then next, there's one in Inslee and one in, Maker, I think Maker's in, that are coming up. And then the last one will be sidewalk in the Birmingham Public Library. They're gonna do a class together. So, the other two are Magic City Poetry Fest for Graphica Live. I don't know if that's, that was beautiful. And then, the Metropolitan Youth Orchestra did a gospel festival at Alabama United Methodist Church. So those are some of the things that are funded, and we already have, I think, like 30 eligibility checks. It's double what came in last year. So the community is really responding to the program. And then other things that this creative industry services are funding are film. We've had a huge year this year. We've had $40 million in 2023 in films, 16 million of which has been spent locally. So it's blown up. And luckily, because we have so many more small to mid-sized budgets, this strike has slowed things down slightly, but not completely. We just sent out 2 location packages last week. So we're hopeful that we'll keep inviting and hosting some smaller budget films, which is really great. And then 365, that's part of the scope of work. This is great because it's finally, it really feels like we're post-pandemic as far as events in Birmingham. So almost 2,700 events have been added to date. We have 22,000 average monthly visits. 57% are their mobile users, and then we're also hosting the Forging Justice calendar for the city. So my colleague Anthony and Nicole work really closely together on that. And then we added a public art mapping section this summer. So now in Birmingham 365, you can go in and actually see where some of our public art treasures are and map them out. So that's super exciting and a growing body of work just to have that public inventory available online. And then we did a summer camps feature. And that was a labor of love trying to find all the summer camps we could, but it was really popular. I know as a parent, I used it myself actually. It was really helpful. So those are the 3 main areas of focus in these creative industry services in this proposal. I didn't mean to neglect you all, sorry.
Don't worry about it.
President Alexander.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
I was curious, I know when you say you're trying to recruit large as well as small projects, let's say, for example, if I want to make a film from Birmingham, I have a small company, but I reach out to you, because often we have one or more companies that will reach out to us for support.
Yes.
And so I was just wondering, is that somewhere we could direct them to say there's opportunity there as well?
Yes, you can, and please do. Because on filmbirmingham.org, we keep the production registration mostly for Jefferson County, and it's free. But what that allows us to do is actually capture all the projects going on, which helps us with macroeconomic data. It also helps us field phone calls and complaints if people want to know what's going on if we have it registered. And then importantly, for bigger productions, they have to show us proof of insurance. So we ask that everyone register, even if it's a student film. And then they talk to us and we can help them with locations, sometimes in-kind things or different resources. So yes, please do. We're not going to charge them anything for our services.
Perfect. I think that's a great idea. Of course, we had all the stuff was going on this summer with Matthew McConaughey.
Yes.
Lord have mercy.
Oh, do I know that? That was great, but we're post-production.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Council Abbott?
I really don't have any questions.
Oh, wow. I know. I was just going to ask you about the calendar of events that I know we talked about when you first came on board about that. So I'm happy to hear that's up and running too. And I think we probably need I need to just remember to really tell people about it, honestly.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me, since both of you guys are over here, I actually just saw somebody that said we need a master calendar on the website of events so we won't have different events going on at the same time. Please. Like our Say Summer concert series, we want a lot of people to come to our stuff. So somebody because I just found out for mine and Council Tate's concert, somebody's doing a smaller version of that on the same day. So I'm going to go find them and be like, hey, you can combine it with us so we don't.
So you're saying city events or just events?
City events.
Okay.
We can help with that.
Yeah.
Usually we try to funnel things through them because that's what part of our allocation goes to
Okay.
that calendar. But to your point, and what I said earlier, as we revamp our website, we can try to integrate that into the new website, the city website.
Or send like maybe a link that
Yeah.
that takes you.
I
Yeah.
think it's one now for them.
It
on our-
is.
yeah.
Well, can you just resend that for me?
And just so y'all know, for the public, it's always free to use and post.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we design all these banners for free that, so we'll help people and we'll even post it for them. But for the city specifically, we have the ability to filter by neighborhood and district. So if y'all ever wanted us to help you,
Of
we
course.
can put the widget from the website with that filter into each of your websites so that you can filter by zip code and
Yeah.
just show events in your district. It's a tool that is grossly, chronically underutilized and underappreciated,
Yeah.
and it's a super tool. I love the efficiency of this tool because
Yeah.
you can literally, this tool also is the calendar for the CVB's festival page. It's a shapeshifter,
Yeah.
and it can live on any website with the
Oh.
data that you want.
Okay.
So talk to me.
Well,
if
Can
you're-
you send us that information? Because I
Yeah.
think
Yes.
every council
Yeah.
would love to be able to push that and utilize it.
So we'll help.
We need to do
Yeah,
that.
we'll help her with that because I know y'all get a lot of emails. So
Mhm.
Okay.
and you do send a lot of emails, which is good and bad.
I just love
But
it.
we'll help.
Well, I want you to know where it's going. I mean,
Yeah,
all these
we'll help.
amazing things are happening
I
with
get a
your
lot of
support.
emails. I get a lot of
Yeah.
emails.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't just talking about myself. I was just talking about in general, just everything that's going on in the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was why 365 was great. Bonner Wagner, she's the
Yeah.
one who
Mhm.
started that way
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Well, it's having a renaissance.
Yeah.
Thankfully, now that people are out and about again,
Yeah.
and it's still a tool people can use without having to follow every Instagram account in
Yeah.
Birmingham to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah, and work with a small business to make sure they continue to know too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No?
Jeff.
Yeah.
So I make one more plug that has nothing to do with this, that we're just very excited about the City Laureate Initiative.
Sure.
Y'all should just be aware of that. It's coming up, and Alabama State Council on the Arts is gonna fund it, and it's gonna be the applications are open, so keep spreading the word. It's just a huge deal, and it's so exciting for the city. And I just want y'all to know that, that's gonna be our first ever. It's happening right now. Applications are open.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Was there a motion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. That aye passes. Thank you, Megan.
Okay, thank you all. Have a good day.
And thank you for your good work too. Next item is item number 16. This is the city will purchase from UAB up to 1,200 football tickets for UAB home game during the 2023 college football season at a cost of $175,000.
Yeah.
Second.
Yes, Councilmember. So this is our third year of leveraging our $3 sales tax to support the UAB football program. So the funds go toward the purchase of tickets where we distribute some to the council for them to give to neighborhood meetings, neighborhood leaders and citizens if they're interested in going to any UAB game. Our allocation was increased over last year just due to the fact they go into a brand new conference. So the competition is a little bit more upper echelon than the Conference USA. Not saying Conference USA is bad. That's who I played against when I was at UAB, but that's neither here nor there. But the American Conference is one of the top, probably 7 conferences in the United States right now. So this is just our efforts to support UAB and their new coach and just the team in general.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just want to put a clarifying point on Chief Mitchell's response. It's first come, first served with tickets. First come, first served for constituents. You don't handpick who you give them to. That's all.
Councilor Abbott?
Yeah, well, that was going to be my question was, has the legal department decided that it's okay for us to give away tickets? Because I know we got some pretty tense sounding emails with classic tickets and stuff about how we shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah,
So
I think Mr. McDaniel's pretty much, it's always first come, first serve, and then they have the legal code in the resolution that says that we're able to do that.
Okay, good. So whoever calls first, which means they'll start tomorrow.
Yeah, we have a game
They've been
Thursday.
started.
For
They
every
started.
ticket that we'll ever get. Okay, well, as long as we're legal,
Okay.
first come, first served.
Madam President?
Okay.
Because it's your loan, so, okay. Well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye, that item passes. Next item is item number 17.
We'll bring up Mr. Griffin Laster to present the item.
I'm old, I don't take this chair.
Not old seasoned.
Did you want to wait, or you just want me to go ahead?
You
Yeah,
can present it.
Yeah, you can present it.
This is a software company, Tate Forrester is here with me. Tate is, the present CEO of O'Neill Steel, he's also an officer with Secure Soft, which is the company we're talking about today. I'm Griffin Lassiter, I serve as Senior Project Manager in IAO. This project brings, in addition to retaining 21 jobs, good jobs, it brings 50 new jobs. And as a software company, it's high tech, it's what we're always really going after, especially in the last few years. The average salary is $90,000. Our incentive would be a $1,500 employee pay per job, maxed out, capped at $75,000 over 3 years of the term that we're in. Each year, at the end of the project year, the company will certify to us the names and salaries of the individuals. And for example, the salary, I said the average salary is $90,000. The salary is less than that. Let's say it's $60,000. So that's 2/3 of 90. So they want to get 2/3 of the $1,500. In that case, $1,000. The company has agreed, has been wonderful to work with, has agreed to recruit from historically black colleges and universities in Alabama. And they'll also strive to achieve a minority hiring goal of 30%. Tate Forrester is here. Tate, if you want to talk a little bit more about the project. We also have Jim Stanley, our great attorney, with us, and Trey Hill, and Alex Patrick with BBA, who's on some cost benefit analysis.
Okay. Madam President, do you have any questions?
Thank you very much. I was very excited about the salary, average salary, and what this would do to really provide, this is definitely a livable wage. But excited to see your recruitment of HBCU grads. And what was the percentage of minority participation, or what you're trying to?
30%.
30%, okay, great. And these are all like new hires. It's nothing like people going up the ladder in the company. This is to recruit new hires.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and our CTO, Donnie Garvich, is currently on the board of Central Six and is actively involved in that, so that's one of our mechanisms to recruit minorities. But yeah, we're excited. This is a software that we developed inside of O'Neill Steel that's really changed the game for us, and recognizing our industry needs to change. It's a bit archaic. We decided we could spin it out and build a company around it and commercialize it to the rest of the organization, to the industry, which is a very large kind of sandbox that O'Neill Steel plays in is about $100 billion a year sandbox. There's about 7,500 companies in it, and anyway, none really have this kind of technological prowess that we do. So this is an opportunity to bring that to them, and hopefully, we think that O'Neill Steel was kind of instrumental in, kind of chapter 1 of Birmingham's history, and I think that industrial technology can be chapter 2.
Definitely. And so for these particular positions, I know you're going to target or you're going to work with trying to recruit from HBCUs. Does it require a BS degree, or can it also, you can have a junior college or some type of technology degree? Or mainly you're looking at BS.
I would say, I don't know what the pedigree of some of the employees that we already have are. A lot of them have gone through some of the programs at Innovation Depot to learn how to code. And I think as long as they know how to write software, we're
Perfect. All right, thank you. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Abbott.
Yeah, and my only question is, like, how long do the employees have to stay? Because I've had a number of friends who have hired somebody and like 3 weeks later they quit and go somewhere else. So how long do the employees have to stick around in order for us to pay for them?
It's a good question.
Well, if you have the question too, then we're in trouble.
Good afternoon, Jim Stanley from the Office of the City Attorney. We really can't require an individual employee to stay, but what we do are two
Well, I mean, the
checks.
credit for.
Two checks on the company. They've got a period of time to achieve the target goal, and then we look back, and if they've not achieved the target goal, there's a payback then. Once they achieve the target goal, they've got to maintain that average for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, we look, and to the extent they've not maintained the average, again, they've got to pay back a portion of the incentive to the city. So we have two checks, two checkpoints on their hiring and maintaining the numbers of employees.
Okay, that answers my question. And yours too? And that was all.
Okay, well, I don't have any questions then. Well, I think there's been a motion in a second. All in favor say aye. Aye, the item passes. Thank you, guys. Then the last item is item number 18. This is a funding agreement among the city, the Public Athletic, Cultural, and Entertainment Facilities Board, PACE Board, and PNC Bank, under which the city will pay the principal of and interest on the certain revenue bond series 2023 to be issued by the PACE Board, the PNC Bank, which will not exceed $4.5 million to pay the cost of capital improvements to Rickwood Field and ground lease between the city and the PACE Board in connection with the MLB at Rickwood Field project. Excuse me.
Move the item.
Second.
Chief.
Yes. Wow, Jeff is bothering me. Okay. So, council, if you recall, and I'll just open it up, and we got a team here that can answer some outside questions, but if you recall back in February of 2023, the council approved an allocation of $2 million out of the surplus for us to do renovations to Rickwood Field. Using those funds, we were able to have a really in-depth conversation with MLB in order to, and for them to have a game of a professional magnitude in the city of Birmingham in June of 2024. As we worked through that dynamics with the MLB, we found that the cost that was initially set forth was not enough for us to do what's needed for the renovations of Rickwood Field to make it by MLB minimum standards. So we have been in monthly contact with them to just try and shore that up, and we were able, with our help, the city attorney's office with Attorney Keith Sheffield, found a way that without going back to this council asking for more money, that we would leverage the PACE Board, which is the Public Athletics Cultural Board, that was established just for this purpose. If you recall, PACE was established for us to create the Regents Field and the Negro League Museum. So PACE will basically float a bond of $4.5 million that we will use to leverage to make these renovations that needed for Rickwood Field. The renovations consist of a total field revamp, some ADA compliance issues that we need to do, some structural things that the council already approved, and just the bullpen, batting cages, the things that they need in order to have a MLB type game here, so the city won't be liable for anything that we would negligent about. So what's before the council is just that agreement between the city, PACE, and the MLB in order to do the construction of the new field, all the renovations, and the actual agreement to have the game here in 2024. As I said, that $2 million allocation is not going to waste. It's going to pay down that debt, and then we have other funding mechanisms that we are relying on for future payments that shouldn't affect a lot of the general fund on paying that debt.
Okay. Madam President.
So not necessarily within $6 million worth of redo and revamp here.
Only 4.5.
Only 4.5.
We were leveraging the $2 million that's already been approved to go towards that debt, to reduce the debt amount.
Gosh.
We're not asking the council for an additional 4.5. The 2 is already sitting and holding, and we're using that to leverage to pay the bank once we start making payments.
Okay. And this is all for aesthetics or redo inside the
Inside,
building,
yes.
Nothing outside.
Nothing outside, because I believe the law says we can only do so much things on the outside facade of improvements to a historical monument. We have to get approval by the state. So these are all internal and inside in the field of play that's related to having a baseball game. And this is really not just for MLB. Let me go ahead and say that, and I've had this conversation with MLB Rex. This is a long-term play for the city, and just doing this revamp, they'll be able to have and host more games, baseball games in the baseball stadium for Rick Wood Field. Talking with the Friends, they will still open it up for high school for them to host their games. Miles College will still be viable to use the field. Well, right now, this would get this stadium to what it used to be. And going forward, it's a long-term play, not for just MLB. That's great. We love it. Hopefully we can get something on down the line that happen every 2 years that salutes our Negro League baseball team. But we see the other benefit of that. We can go out to other bids, i.e. a SEC or NCAA, or things of that nature that we couldn't do with what we have right now. And this goes to Ms. Abbott's point, is taking care of something that's ours. And I think it's due time.
Okay.
Yes,
Council
ma'am.
Abbott?
Well, that was part of my question was, we're not just doing this for MLB to come play one game.
No.
Kind of like our new football stadium, it's not gonna be used just 30 days out of the year,
No,
is it?
Our intent is very long term, and including with that, what the Friends are trying to do with their fundraising, because I have asked MLB for a long term maintenance plan and how that looks, of how to maintain an MLB standard baseball field. So part of their fundraisers is twofold: to potentially pay down the debt on the field, or it can go to their long term plan of maintenance, because those guys may not know how to do this, but we want to establish some type of training procurement with them, with MLB, and some type of, hopefully like an interlocal agreement with the Barons to help them out, to let them know this is the things they need to do to maintain the field. We don't want this to go to waste. Like I said, this is a long-term play for us.
Well, yeah, and the Friends, they've beaten their heads against the wall so long there are holes in them, because we haven't stepped up, so to speak. And so I'm sure that they're all just so excited they can't stand it. But, it always comes down to, do we maintain anything after we build it? So we do need to build in some commitment. But crossplay, we think of crossplay as being a new, we think of it as being a brand new facility,
It's
but
10
it's
years
10
old.
years
It's 10 years old.
and things now have to be fixed on it, and if we don't fix them, then,
Yeah,
tear it down.
and to that point, the council approved $750,000 a couple months ago to keep the Mondo track up to par.
Yeah.
So it's ongoing. That was the intent of me having those conversations, the administration having with the MLB, that they just don't walk away after the game is over. We need to know what the long-term maintenance of a facility of this nature, so we can keep having things of that nature to come back to the city of Birmingham. And just the economic impact alone will pay for itself.
Sounds good.
Yeah, no.
What was we did have an item on the agenda last week, did we not?
That was the
about
Mondo
maintenance?
That was their operating agreement.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so this would just add, it goes back to Council Abbott's question about the maintaining
Yeah,
over the period of time.
Yeah, we will revisit that agreement, that operating agreement going forward once we understand how much it costs.
Okay.
But we are not just letting the Friends just get a check from the city. We want them to leverage our funding to go out and fundraise so we can keep the maintenance up, because the money we give them now is probably not going to be enough to maintain this. So it's like I said, it's a long-term plan, but we still have to understand what that maintenance looks like.
Are we going to have some of the high school baseball teams play over there?
Yes, I noted that. So Miles will still be a regular tenant, and Alabama High School Association will continue to be a tenant.
Okay.
We're pushing them more to that because we can leverage some other
Yeah.
funding to help offset some costs.
Okay, and then, do they sell those little soccer fields out there?
I'm not sure. I doubt it. I think it's the parking area.
I think it's the parking.
Okay.
That's the parking area.
Oh, that'll age me. I played soccer out there all the time.
Yeah,
Yes, I remember Rickwood Field is playing little soccer.
that's the parking area.
It's a good little deal though, so I mean, anyways,
So I do want to note, because I don't want it to be remiss in full transparency, because we know this game is coming. It's going to be a lot of people trying to come into their footprint.
yeah.
MLB has committed to make sure that they have the community engaged leading up to the game. So they would do a lot of activations within the community to say, hey, we know we're coming in and kind of taking over, but we want you to be engaged. They'll have celebrations and a lot of meetings with them leading up to the game. Also for the transportation for the game, we will also put out an RFP where we'll have a transportation shuttle between Legion Field and Rickwood, so it wouldn't be so many people inundated in one centralized location, and that's kind of, it's in the contract. I just wanted to make note of that since we talked about parking.
Yeah.
Everybody can't fit on the soccer field.
Yeah. So, BRT, does it?
Yes, it's a line
So
item.
we're gonna, okay, so we're gonna make sure, and then I think it'd be great if we could get VIA, honestly, to expand that out right there, to pick up and drop off. Yeah, so for that, will we have a designated area for ride share pickup and drop off?
Yeah, we're figuring
Like a lot
out that
or
whole
something?
transportation plan, like
Okay.
just like we do for the Magic City Classic. We'll have and we'll elevate all the the marketing and promotion for it to make people sure that people know where to go and not get caught up in jams or traffic stops or street closures.
Oh, all right.
One more question.
Mhm.
Because, is that something we did for the Bananas game? Was
Yes,
that-
the friends did that. We just assisted with them, but yeah, they use Leisure Field and Prospects as two drop-off points and pick-up points,
Mhm.
and they were shuttled in to the game and
Yeah.
shuttled back out.
Yeah, like the big events,
Yeah.
other cities, yeah, okay. All right.
So let me clarify, I thought she was gonna say.
Well, there's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That item passes. Next item is all new business. We don't have any. Next Budget and Finance meeting will be Monday, September 11th at 3:30 p.m. Is there a motion for adjournment? All in favor say aye.